we will have a broadcast.
Oh, okay, live.
Yeah.
So I should get a notification.
She went to SikhRI this morning. She's like 9:30, and she's not.
Yeah.
She's staying there. She's with my sister, so she's staying at 9:30.
Quality मेरा ख्याल still going to be whoever agent like you have, they will get
Sir, hindi din live this
जब मैं आपको शुरू कर रहा हूँ इस बीच खत्म कर दिया आपको सुन
If you नहीं भी share कर दो it's fine. Once you share it, all your friends share. If you जरा page पे जरा like किया है page on anyway for it.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. Guru is perfection. Guru is infinite. Guru is beyond any description, any limitations. Guru is everything. In fact, in the first salok of Asa Ki War, Guru Nanak Padsha himself states that Balihari Guru Apne Dehari Sadwar, that I am just amazed by Shabd Guru. I am in awe and I'm willing to do anything because my Guru is so awesome. Why? Because Jin manaste devte kiye karat na lagi var. Because Guru transformed an average individual and gave him divine attributes. Devte banata. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. And when you have a combination of Guru and education, you have Gurmat education. This evening, every single person who's here believes in Gurmat education. We will hear from various speakers tonight about their journeys in Sikhi. You will hear about Sikh Research Institute's programming, what it has to offer to connect all the learners of various backgrounds, ages, and genders with the Shabd Guru. The program is as follows. First, 5 minutes, there will be a summary clip of SikhRI's latest programming and activities. Then it'll be followed by our speakers from out of town, our guest speakers, and then you will hear ultimately from our local individuals who have participated in SikhRI's programmings this year. If you can turn the lights down, please, and if you can turn on the clip, you can face back.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Amy Kaur, and I'm the CEO of SikhRI, a non-profit organization with a vision of making Sikh education accessible to anyone willing to understand the principles of Sikhi. I'm elated to share with you that 2017 marks the 15th year of SikhRI, an achievement worthy of celebration, made entirely possible because each one of you has supported us throughout the years. So, thank you. SikhRI's goal within its broader vision is to create a Sikh oasis of learning, sparking the desire for knowledge in people. We exist because we want to share the tremendous impact that Sikhi can have on people's lives. Our unique value proposition has resulted in unprecedented growth, quadrupling our audience since last year. From Pondicherry to Singapore, from Australia to Japan, over 10,000 people now connect with us to study our curricula, take online courses, and join webinars on our website every month. SikhRI is for anyone searching for a better understanding of Sikhi. Our continuing education platform has workshops for children, courses catering to teenagers, and programs covering everything from history to Gurbani for adults. All can benefit from this source of knowledge. 2017 was a good year for SikhRI. We've launched a few bite-sized series, Showers of the Week for example, but also published in-depth articles on Guru Arjan Sahib and Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. During the year, we were involved in the Emperor Prophet Guru Gobind Singh Sahib exhibit, commemorating the 350th Prakash Utsav. We have been holding special presentations marking this moment in time around the globe. In addition, we've doubled down on our online courses and video series, sharing knowledge on everything from the fundamental principles of Sikhi to Sikh music. In alignment with our continuous growth, the next year is promising to be our largest yet. To name a few highlights, we are publishing Asaki Bar in beautiful Gurmukhi with contemporary English tractations by Harinder Singh. We are introducing the writings of Professor Teja Singh as the author of the year for our Thursday Thoughts series. And besides maintaining and improving current curricula, we are doubling down on new online programs. I am especially delighted to share that our children's online course is on the Bani of Anand Sahib. As you know, SikhRI is a non-profit, on its way to make Sikh knowledge and education accessible to anyone. Guided by our passion, we've already reached hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. Our operations at scale depend completely on the involvement of volunteers and donors just like you, who consider sharing their dasfund. To achieve our goals in 2018, we need to raise at least $750,000. I'm immensely grateful for your support, and I ask you to join us in spreading the fragrance of Sikhi. In the words of Professor Puran Singh, as the light of the burning lamp destroys darkness, so, by the touch of Guru, man's inner self is lighted, and he wakes up to all knowledge. Thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Can you turn the lights on, please? So it's a very small video, pretty much describing the activities of Sikh Research Institute. And I encourage you to check out the website, go under the Experience tab and the Programming tab, and you'll see a sort of a flavor of that tonight from the individuals who themselves have experienced and participated in that programming and how it had benefited them. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to our guest speakers from out of town. First, Joben Singh. Joben Singh is a software engineer with Airbnb in San Francisco. He graduated from Stanford University. He first attended SikhRI in 2010. SikhRI, as many of you know, is SikhRI's leadership, 2 weeks leadership program. So interesting thing is, Joben first attended as a participant. It has 3 tracks. He came once. He liked it. He came back again. And he came back the 3rd time. And I joke with him, I'm like, and he's like, I really like it. He liked it so much, the leadership program, that 4th year he became a TA. He was again a TA 2 years. So last year, after being, I guess, 5th year of participation, we finally said, you know what, enough of participation, enough of being a TA. You need to become a facilitator. So this time, he actually was the lead instructor of 201 track. Just to let you know, I'm a 101 instructor, okay? He's now a 201 instructor, but he's worked very hard. Of the 3 weeks of vacation he gets every year, 2 weeks he's always at SikhRI. So, and one more thing I want to, actually I'll save that towards when he's done talking. There's one more thing I want to talk about him. But please, Joben Singh, come, and I want you to just sort of talk in your own words where Sikhi journey has taken you, and what can you share with other people who also thirst to walk on the path of Shabd.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you, Pratapir Ji, for that excellent introduction. Actually, now that he's been telling some stories, I figure I should start with my own. The first time, I never thought I'd be staying at their house or really interacting with them, because my first interactions with Urpinder Benji, who's standing in the back, were very scary. I was a 17-year-old kid, kind of a rebel, I would say. I'd say like you're supposed to wake up at 6 a.m. and there was no way I was going to do that. So she was kind of sent to discipline me, and I learned the hard way that you don't mess with Urpinder Benji. So that was kind of my introduction to SikhRI and SikhRI in general. I went in 2010, and I realized for the first time that being a Sikh was more than just having a turban and a beard. It was more than being able to speak Punjabi. It was how you live your life. And in the first iteration of Sikhi, we go over Asakivar, and the slok that Pratapir Ji mentioned, Jin manas te devde kiye, karatna lagivar, that line really stuck out to me, because it meant that my purpose in life was not to be rich or famous or happy. Well, hopefully happy, but not the other ones. It was to become divine-like. It was to find the spark within me and find the spark within others and go beyond myself. So, I had been to Sikh camps as a kid. I kind of knew the drill. Sat down, listened to some kirtan until you could go outside and play basketball. But this was something different. This was real learning about the jewel that we have. So 2010 I came back in 2013, and really the thing that stuck out to me in 2013 was that I couldn't do this alone. From a personal perspective, I'd gone to college. I had kind of, college is it's a big time. You learn new things, you go to new places, you have new experiences, but I was kind of missing something. I felt that I was a little bit rudderless. So going to SikhRI in 2013 was really big because I met people like me who could inspire me. About a couple weeks ago, I was looking online, and one of my friends from that time was giving a speech about DACA and how immigrants' rights in the United States and the children of those immigrants' rights need to be protected. And that was so crazy to me, because the things I think about day to day, they don't even come close to some of the problems that we're having in the world. So being around people who showed me that these are the kind of heights you can achieve, this is what you can accomplish if you put your mind to it, really pushed me further. After 2013, I became a TA, which was also a different experience because now I was working directly with some of the SikhRI, facilitators who had been teaching me up to this point. And learning to step into those shoes was interesting too. But one thing I kind of decided after 2013 was this needs to become part of my life. I get too much out of this, the kind of charging of batteries that happens during that time, during those 2 weeks, is something I want to continue. And it's not always easy. I was working with people who are much more experienced, both in age and in actual knowledge, than I was. But it's been a very big growing experience for me. So in Rahrasa, there's line Saad Sangat Paj Keval Naam. I learned that the journey of Sikhi is not one that you do alone. It's not one you go to the mountains and sit by yourself and figure out. It's not something you figure out by starving yourself. It's not something you figure out by just saying things over and over again. It's a collective journey. And to me, the biggest thing that SikhRI has given me is that collective journey. People around me who can push me, who make me better. So, after a while, I was approached by the SikhRI board and asked to be on the advisory council. And I was like, are you sure? This is, I was 23 years old at the time. I was like, I haven't really done anything with my life. Like, why do you want me? But again, it was them seeing something in me that I hadn't even seen in myself. It was them believing in me and investing in me to say, you may not be where you want to be today, but we see that you want to learn more. And that want is something I see consistently in people who attend SikhRI events. It's the yearning to learn more, to push yourself further. And I realized it wasn't about comparing myself to other people. It was about saying, this is a journey I want to take by myself. This is a journey I want to take on for myself. And then this year, I became a facilitator with Harinder Singh. Who all has met Harinder Singh? Okay. Who all has been intimidated by Harinder Singh? So now I'm working with, in some ways one of the most, they call him a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. And I'm supposed to somehow teach a class with him, or a course. So that was also a huge learning experience. And again, I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of the SikhRI board, of the SikhRI staff, and even of the participants. We have 4 civic participants sitting in the room today. You will hear from them soon, but it just continues to amaze me how much being focused on Guru and Guru orientation can give you the confidence to do something you never thought you could do. And then lastly, I was in Dallas in April, end of April. And, the board approached me again and asked if I wanted to be on the board of directors. And has anyone watched Just Rain's videos? There's this line where his dad sees him, making videos and he says, "Bara director munda firda hai?" Like, what do you think you're doing? That's kind of how I felt. But again, when I have a problem, what I usually go back to is Guru. And what I realize is that it's not about me, it's about whatever's best for the world, for the Sangat. And when I started thinking about it in that lens, I realized that maybe I do have something to offer. So, I've been on this journey for a little bit of time. I've met some amazing people, and I look forward to meeting all of you, the ones I haven't met. But really, SikhRI's mission of illuminating every path spoke to me. Because then it becomes about your personal relationship and how to build that relationship with Guru. So, really, mostly what I have towards SikhRI now is gratitude. What I have learned from the facilitators, what I've been able to gain, is something I never could have figured out on my own. So hopefully you'll be seeing more of me. I'll continue on this journey, and thank you for having me. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Jujar, those of you, I think most of you, or I don't know, some of you may know or may not know that he was asked by his employer Airbnb to be part of the Super Bowl commercial, and you might have noticed that last Super Bowl. He's actually also engaged to be married. I'll leave that up to interpretation. And I can also pretty safely say, soundly say, she's also a Siddiq alumni. So that's always good to hear that both of you, you and Meher, are really connected with the Shabbat. That's really great to see. Thank you, Jujar. Jujar was invited actually to be on the board, and a person who's in mid-20s, I know it's unusual, but that's really the direction SikhRI is going towards. It's not a bunch of people like me who now have more or less black hair in their beard and more gray, but this is really, I don't know, it's the future. This is it. This is the present. So this is the direction where SikhRI is going into. So next, I'd like to introduce Jassi Virji, as he prefers to be called, but Jaswinder Singh Chadha. Jassi Virji is the CEO and founder of Axtria, which is a data analytics company in New Jersey and in India. He's a prior founder and CEO of MarketRx. It's a life science analytics company. He was named by New York Biz magazine as top 40 under 40, but I think Punjab de nede tede ho gaye hoge thoda rehanda kehande. He was also named winner of EY Entrepreneur of the Year award. He's on board of directors of Punjab Digital Library. He's a graduate of Delhi IIT, and I can go on forever, but if you want to know, you can look it up on our website and all other organizations' website. The idea is the guy is very dynamic, and he's also our new chair of SikhRI. So, one of the things when I met him, I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and at that time I was on advisory council of SikhRI. That's sort of a testing ground. Are you board material or not, right? Because we have one member of AC here. And Virji also was on the AC, and we were going around introducing. And people have long laundry list of initials and degrees, like I just shared some of his. He didn't say anything like that. He basically said one thing. He's like, I was born in Amritsar, I grew up in Delhi, and I didn't know much about SikhRI until I encountered, Sikh Research Institute in a workshop, a Sikhi in a workshop and sponsored by SikhRI. And hopefully can expand on that. So Virji, please come on up and share your journey, how you really handle your relationship with other CEOs, other boards, other nonprofits you're at, and how you balance your life as a husband, as a father, and as an entrepreneur.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Fateh. Well, thank you very much for that introduction. It's hard to go after Jujar. Actually, from the program today, I was chatting with some people earlier, and I was saying that I'm actually quite unique from all the speakers you're going to hear today. I'm actually the old one. I was the one who was born in India, moved here for my graduate studies, but I've lived in US longer than I lived in India. And I think many of you will actually be able to relate to that. My oldest daughter is a senior in high school, and I think there are several people here who probably fit that bill as well. So I want to share my journey with SikhRI, and then I will talk about how I got connected with SikhRI, Sikh Research Institute. So as Pritpal Vijay said, I grew up in Amritsar. My mom was a professor there. My father was in the army. So I considered growing up, we were in a very secular environment. And actually, growing up in India, it is a very secular country. Everything that you learn in school is that, what they call about the, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. It's basically one community, and that's basically the mindset I grew up with. After completing my engineering from Delhi, I actually came to US. I actually landed in Texas, in El Paso, Texas. This is before internet. I didn't know where El Paso was. It was a last-minute decision. I actually really thought that actually people used to go around on horses, because the only El Paso I had seen was in Clint Eastwood movies. So I ended up in Texas. I finished my master's. The timing wasn't very good. This is after the first Gulf War, and I went to Texas A&M for a PhD. When I was finishing my PhD, I actually couldn't get a single job interview. Luckily, I met someone at a conference in LA who invited me for an interview. They offered me a job. I moved to New Jersey. Now, throughout this journey, even though I've been born in a Sikh family, I'm not thinking about SikhRI at all. I'm only thinking about what am I going to do next in my career, how am I going to get a job, how I'm going to settle down, and just basically what I call about the basics of life, so to speak. And along this way, I'm 22, 23 years old. I'm wondering, what do I look different? I don't really fit in with the people who were around me in Texas, especially in those days in El Paso and in College Station. Along this way, I was very fortunate that I got married while I was doing my PhD to a person who actually knew more about SikhRI than I do. And that was actually, in the hindsight, a turning point in my life and my career. Once I got a job, I moved to New Jersey, and New Jersey had a little bit more community feel of among Sikhs than I had experienced in Texas. And we would go to the Gurdwara in Bridgewater, New Jersey, once in a while, but it was mostly around, going and eating langar, listening to one or two Shabbats, without really having any understanding of what was going on. And as they say, the life goes on. Till you start having kids. Our older daughter was born 17 years ago, and that's why she's a senior in high school. Our son was born 2 years later, and when they were growing up, we realized that actually we should try to get them some more basic SikhRI education. Put them in the Khalsa school in Bridgewater, and till now, many of you may actually be able to relate to this journey. When what we realize is that actually the Khalsa school is being run by parents who are almost all born and brought up in India, and have the same kind of fire to make sure that we are able to impart some education and knowledge about SikhRI, about our history, about Gurbani, about Punjabi to our kids. And but we are all kind of leading the blind, because none of us have had any formal education in teaching these programs. And of course, there's a wide variety of skill set in this thing. There are no materials. We would actually, anyone who's going to India would ask them to bring materials over, and whatever we could get, we would use them. And what we realized is after about 4 or 5 years, the kids didn't really learn much. They were basically doing the same thing over and over and over again, and there wasn't much learning. Until at that point, someone introduced that there is this organization called Sikh Research Institute. They actually have a proper program called SOJI that we should look into that. They have actually invested a lot of time and effort into developing this program. We evaluated that, we implemented it. My first experience with SikhRI was when they came to our Khalsa school to actually do the teachers training. And I was not a teacher, my wife was a teacher. I just sat in the background taking care of the kids, and she attended the teachers training. And that was my first experience with Harinder Virji. And as Jujar said, boy, he's intimidating. Later on, they started a program for adults, and this was a day-long workshop called Sneha. And this is, I think, one of the instances that Vitpal Virji was mentioning. Even though I had grown up in India, I had grown up in Amritsar. I had been to Harmandir Sahib at least a few hundred times. Born in a Sikh family. And when I attended that Sneha program, a one-day program, I realized that I had learned more in one day than I had learned in 37 years of my life. That is impact. And they were talking in a language that I could understand. They were talking about things that I could relate to. They were, and in some ways, what was amazing is that they wouldn't give us any answers. So here I was worried that as my daughter and my son are going to grow up, they're going to ask me tough questions. So, maybe I found this source who's going to give me the answers. And what I realized is that actually they were there to teach us to find our own answers, so we can actually answer those questions for our kids, or teach our kids to learn to find their own answers. And as they say, the rest is history. We've been associated with SikhRI ever since. Along the way, I became an entrepreneur and started our first company, which was in the area of pharmaceutical sales and marketing, analytics, outsourcing, and so on. And what we realized is that actually in the pharmaceutical industry, especially in the global industry, there were, in the sales and marketing, there were no Sikhs. Actually, there were two Sikhs in the whole industry that I could find, and both of us were competitors. And when we would travel and go to Europe or go and meet the CEO of the pharmaceutical companies, you might be the first person, a real Sikh, they would have actually talked to. And I think many people would actually kind of look at that as a glass half full or half empty, which is, hey, you look different. Is there going to be any kind of a perception issue with you? What I experienced was that actually I can stand here and say, when people talk about the word discrimination, I have never experienced that. I look at that, and when I meet people, the only thing I look at that is that, boy, they're never going to forget this encounter talking to me. And that has actually helped me tremendously. We built a successful business, we sold it, we currently building another company. And as entrepreneurs, people talk about having your values, the culture in your organization. And what I realize is that actually my own journey with SikhRI has actually influenced me to actually really believe. And when we define our values, we talked about integrity, we talked about perseverance, we talked about equality, we talk about fairness, we talk about humility, all the things that we learn in SikhRI that are actually defined as the core values of our business, and that defines our culture. So as this journey is going on, I get more and more sucked into Sikh Research Institute, first as a board of advisors, then as a board of directors, and then while we were in Dallas in April, They, I don't know how or why, they decided that I should be the chair of the board. So I stand here as a representative of this great organization, and what I can tell you is that the work that SikhRI is doing is perhaps the most unique of any Sikh organization anywhere in the world. It is an organization that is based upon the teachings of the Guru. Our source of reference is Guru Granth Sahib. Our mission is to enable people to learn and understand the values of Sikhi, the word of the Guru, and live the life in a Guru-inspired way. And in my own vested interest, it is our way of saying, if we can actually influence our kids to understand these values of Sikhi and answer these things on their own, this is probably one of the most effective medium that I have experienced. Today you will actually hear from 5 Siddhakars. You've already heard from one of them. The other 4, and I can tell you every Siddhakar I have ever met, and I have met quite a few of them, every one of them has actually used the word something related to it's a life-changing experience. So some of you have kids who are young adults. We accept people above 17 years of age up till 40 to come to this program. I know it's a commitment, it's an investment of 2 weeks in summer, and we are all very busy. But if you can encourage your kids and those other young people who are in the audience, if you could come and make the effort to actually attend this program, I will promise you this is going to be a life-changing experience. Along with this, we have day-long programs, and as Angie talked about in the video, one of the things we have also done is we have actually taken the programs digital. We have programs that are now what we call bite-size. So whether it's listening to a podcast or listening to something in a 2-minute video, just talking about very simple and basic things about Sikhi, please follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and thank you very much. I am honored and privileged to be here among this Sangha. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Virji. You know, the reason we chose him to chair our organization, I'll be very frank, I can say that because I'm on the board of directors. I had a say in it. There are multiple people like me who are content people. You know, we know the Shabad, we know the history, but he has a unique skill set. He's an entrepreneur. And, you know, when you have an entrepreneur who is actually doing something for upliftment of, you know, just an average person, that you don't see much often. And you know, Guru Nanak was an entrepreneur, if you think about it. So it was sort of a unanimous no-brainer for us. And one of the first things I remember when I met Virji was he was just so humble. And at that time I didn't know all the I guess circles and all that. He always makes time. But the fact that, you know, raised in Amritsar and IIT graduate, but if he can say he learned more in one day going through one SikhRI workshop about himself, who he is as an individual, and what he thought of what Sikhi was, versus what his realization was that day, that meant a lot to me. And 37 or 38 years had passed by. So that's huge. So if those of you are wondering, what was that workshop? I encourage you to talk to him when you're eating dinner during the social hour. SikhRI has these in-person workshops, and and those of you who attended, you know what I'm talking about. Very rarely, it's never, the answer is never like, here, this is the answer for you. No. The answer is usually like, well, what do you think? Who do you value? And what would that person think? Something like that. Thank you, Virgie. Next, we'll hear from some of our local people who have participated this year in SikhRI programming. And first, I want to invite Monique Wedderburn. Monique, I had the privilege of getting to know Monique a couple of years ago. We worked on a program together. And we really hit it off because our working styles are very similar. And she is the director of UT Dallas Asia Center. And early in February this year, we worked on Kultar's Mind. And a lot of you came to see that. And that's a play, an enactment of 1984 from kids' point of view in Delhi, what happened after the genocide in Delhi in 1984. So it was unique because it was coming from kids' point of view. It was unique because it was in English. It was unique because it was American actors doing this. And I want her to come and share what did she think of the play, why she chose SikhRI to partner with SikhRI in an educational institution. By the way, she has an MBA from University of Hawaii. She's here with her family, and she's lived multiple places like Mexico, Pakistan, Zaire, Thailand, and elsewhere. So Monique.
I've prepared some comments because I'm not as eloquent as you are. So I just want to start by saying, first of all, I want to say good evening. Good evening, everyone. Am I doing this right? You got it? Okay. Thank you for the kind introduction, first of all. Okay, so I would like to first begin by expressing my gratitude for the invitation to share with you the impact of Kultar's Mind. You've just heard just some eloquent contents of what SikhRI means to the community. So I wanted to just take the time really to share what Kultar meant to the UT Dallas, the University of Texas at Dallas, more specifically to their entire community. For the first time ever, the University of Texas at Dallas Asia Center partnered with the Sikh Research Institute and Saprit Singh to host Kultar's Mind. I want to just start by saying how that journey began. Pritpal first approached me on the possibility of co-hosting the play, and he was really clear, sort of emphasizing specific reason that I really want to share with you this evening. He began by sharing that his mother, is your mother here today?
Yes, she is.
Where is she?
Mom, where are you?
Mom, where are you?
There she is.
There you go. Hi, Mom. So your son began by sharing that his mother had been really moved and affected immensely by Kultar's Mind. So my thoughts were immediately, well, we simply cannot say no to Mom, and we cannot say no to any mom at all. So that's how it is sort of our journey and our decision began. Pritpal continued, and his intent was not only to share the message of Kultar's Mind, which of course everyone here knows is the horrific violence and genocide that occurred between October 31st and November 3rd of 1984. But he said it was important to share with the Sikh community, but it was mostly also important to share the message with the UT Dallas community. So let me be very clear. Pritpal wanted to and needed to use this opportunity as a history lesson for all of us. The nature of the program represented also another great opportunity to carry out the mission of the University of Texas at Dallas Asia Center, which was to increase the understanding of Asia and the connection to the Asian community. The center has hosted many programs. We've hosted ambassadors from Japan. We together hosted Amartya Sen, right? And we talked about sort of the impact of genocide. We've hosted many cultural programs, really aimed at advancing the knowledge as well as exchange. But nothing, this was the first time, and nothing had been hosted previously on increasing the understanding of the Sikh community. And so this was the first time we've ever done this. So on Sunday, September 12th, 2017, we opened the doors of Coulter's Mind. The audience members included Indian students, Bangladeshi students, Iranian students, African American students, and families of the Sikh community. Once the play began, I was sitting really on the back end of the auditorium, and I noticed from a distance that there was silence. Not a pin drop could be heard. You agree with me? There was total focus, attention. After the play, our students commented on how the play affected them. What I heard from Indian students was that this was not taught in our classrooms. I have also heard this was exactly what happened. And some people said, I did not even know this happened. And this conversation continued well into the evening. Hosting Coulter's Mind fulfilled the mission of SikhRI Institute, the Research Institute, which is the mission of connecting people, making information accessible to people of all ages, all genders, and all backgrounds. Pritpal, I have been at an institution of higher learning for many years. For over 15 years, I've been at the University of Florida, University of Hawaii, and now the University of Texas at Dallas. And I think it's truly difficult to find someone as dedicated as you about educating our future generations. And when I'm talking about our future generation, it's not only the Sikh community, it's all communities, but whether it's African American, whether it's Indian, Bangladeshi. I think without your time, your generosity, and support and vision, it would not have been possible for the UT Dallas Asia Center and the SikhRI Research Institute to partner and to share such an important message. So here it is. To the supporters of the Sikh Research Institute, the success of the program that occurred on the evening, in September evening at UT Dallas, clearly shows that your continued investment in this Research Institute is supporting critical conversations and educations of our communities. And I know you spoke a lot about the Sikh Research Institute, but it's our communities as well. And the values that you share, it needs to spread not only within your community, but the entire communities. And thank you for this touching the lives of our of us, right? And to you, Pritpal Singh and Mom, for bringing such an important message and for enlightening the entire UT Dallas and community and our community at large. Thank you, and please continue to support this important work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monique. I think you're very generous with those words. I don't think I deserve those words, but I will say it was a pleasure working with you. I mean, even outside SikhRI events, when we have collaborated, and I'm really hoping we work on events more. And those of you who are interested in holding events at educational institutions, I highly recommend. We have an Asia Center right here, 15 minutes away from here, at an educational institution. And please connect with her afterwards, her family's here as well. And it's not by accident. Coulter's Mind was made accessible free of charge to audience. I mean, there were 3 sponsors who did it. That's the reason there was not a ticket for it. And we like to continue making things as accessible as possible, even financially, but it doesn't happen without support of sponsors. So please think about that, contributing. And I encourage you to connect again with Monique afterwards. In various forms, see where you can collaborate with her. At the Coulter's Mind, a lot of people were moved. And one of the individuals who was really moved, which I did not realize that day, until I asked her, like a week or 2 later, I happened to call her mother. And she picked up her mother's cell phone. And And I'm like, oh, how you doing? You're not your mom, you know? And she said, no, my mom's busy. She went for a walk. Uncle, how are you? And I just happened to say, Kiran, you were at the play. What did you think? And Kiran just unloaded on me. So I said, Kiran, you must write about this. And Kiran wrote about it. And I want her to come and share her thoughts on what did she think about Kultar's Mind. Kiran is a high school student right here in Flower Mound.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So, in 1984, Operation Blue Star was launched. It was a full-scale assault on dozens of gurdwaras around Delhi and Punjab. The Indian government focused the attack on the most historically significant of the gurdwaras, the Darbar Sahib. But immediately after Operation Blue Star, Operation Woodrose took place. And the objective of this operation was the elimination of Amritdharis. During this operation, tens of thousands of Sikh youth were hunted down, shot, imprisoned, and many were never found again. These events have inspired multiple books, movies, poems, plays, etc. And one of the ones that stands out the most from the rest, due to its powerful imagery and powerful words, was Kultar's Mime. Kultar's Mime was originally published as a poem, but later grew into a play, and I saw the play here in Dallas. It told the story of 4 young children who had witnessed 84 attacks and had their innocence yanked away from them. Kultar's Mime demanded my attention right from the start. We walked in and we were guided onto the stage where there was beautiful artwork. There was a boy with the noose, a depiction of an abstract tree with blood dripping down, and Indira Gandhi, framed by a chimney filled with skeletons and human hands and faces, begging for help. These images set the background for the beautiful play. So at the beginning, we were taken to Delhi and introduced to 4 people, or shells of people. First a hanging, then a man set on fire, then rape. Each story escalated quickly, and no scream was too loud. The play was emotional, but more than that, it left us angry and disgusted, and it made us think. Although the actors were in no way connected to these events, they hadn't witnessed them, but the pain radiating off of them could be felt from a mile away. I was transported to this time period and these events, and it was with this depiction of raw emotion that even I could begin to attempt to understand what happened to our Sikh brothers and sisters. I really want to thank SikhRI for bringing this play to people like myself who are not there to witness these events and truly don't fully understand the impact of these events. But if it hadn't been for SikhRI, I would have missed out on a very important chapter of our history, and I wouldn't have been able to experience the important lessons and thoughts that this play put on me. So thank you very much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Yeah. Thank you, Kiran, for sharing your thoughts. She was just so jubilant on the phone. Uncle, it was like this and that and this, and I was blown away. I'm like, you gotta write this down. You gotta write this down. And she wrote a beautiful blog. If you're interested, you can go on my Facebook account. When she wrote it, I posted it. You can go to SikhRI's account under Experiences tab. And you know, it was emotional. And I can attest to it because I'm standing in front of you because I'm a survivor of the genocide of 1984. At the time, I was 9 years old and I was in Jhansi in UP. So it brought back memories of those. It's one of those things that really change the trajectory of your life. You know, you grow up thinking certain things, you try to push it back. But as you mature and you really become an individual, you know, it's always there. And when you see other genocides happening, this is where the responsibility kicks in, you know, that do something. Doesn't matter what it is. There is no, in the words of Dr. Halpern, who's the director of the Human Rights Program right here in SMU, he says there's no such thing as lesser human being. Do something. Guru Nanak did something when he saw the genocide happening at Sadpur, and he was thrown in jail for it. If you go to West Punjab, there's still a Gurdwara there. And so just remember, your original Baba did something. So Sikhi is not a passive sport. It's not a spectator sport. Thank you, Kiran. Next in April, last April, we did a children's workshop. I always like to poll the kids, like, what are you interested in? And they said, you know, we want to know about Guru Gobind Singh because he's like this awesome guru, and it's his 350th anniversary. And I'm like, really, what do you know about him? And most of them said, he was an awesome fighter, he kicked butt. And I was like, yes, he did. What else do you know about him? And then it was like, he really kicked butt. and some of them started thinking, they're like, Uncle, actually, can you do a workshop on this? So we had 65 kids show up. We divided them into 2 groups. So first I want Joben Singh to come and share what he learned about Guru Gobind Singh Patshaw in his workshop and share with you guys. Give him some support.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Joben Karthik Singh and I am 10 years old. I attended a workshop regarding Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and I would like to tell you what I learned at the workshop and how it has impacted me personally. One of the things I learned about was teamwork. Teamwork is key to succeed in anything you want to accomplish. Guru Gobind Singh Ji demonstrated how important teamwork was with the Panch Pyare. He assigned the Panch Pyare to represent him when he wasn't there. They were able to make important decisions for him when he wasn't there. Guru Gobind Singh Ji knew he couldn't be in 2 places at once, so that's why he assigned the Panch Pyare to be his surrogates. I learned the importance of teamwork and trust. One day, I may be in a group of scientists working on a project. I may be making a time machine, but others will be programming it. I will not be able to do everything myself, so I have to accept that sometimes I need a hand and teamwork to accomplish my goal. You have to learn to trust people. By the way, if I do make a time machine one day, my first priority will be to go back to 1699 and take Amrit from Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Another very important characteristic of Guru Gobind Singh Ji that I learned is to be humble at all times. On the day of first Vaisakhi in 1699, after the Panch Pyare took Amrit from Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji took Amrit in return from them. This is a great example of his humility. Vaho Vaho Gobind Singh Ji, Aape Guru Chalaya, Aape Guru Chalaya. This happens to be one of my favorite shobuds. This line means the great Guru Gobind Singh Ji. He is the guru and the devotee. I understand now that no matter what, we are all equal in the court of Vaheguru. We should treat everybody equally as if we were brothers and sisters. And with respect, humility, and kindness, I will never let my ego get in the way of treating people with love and courage. On top of being a team player and being humble, Guru Gobind Singh Ji was also a great humanitarian. He defended people of all castes and all religions. I was surprised to learn he helped the wounded in his battles, even if they were the enemy. It not mattered to him that just a few moments before, the enemy was attacking him and the Sikh armies. Guru Gobind Singh Ji did seva, providing food, shelter, and medical care for the hungry and the needy. He fought and sacrificed his kids and the rest of his family, and eventually himself, to fight against injustice caused by Aurangzeb and the Mughal army, against all people of India, including Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims. Whenever I see a helpless person of any race or religion in any situation, I will stop and do my best to help them. I will never make fun of them. Lastly, Guru Gobind Singh Ji was a great warrior and scholar at the same time. In Punjabi, we recognize him as a great Sant Sipahi, or saint soldier. He served Vaheguru with both his mind and his might. I learned at the workshop that Guru Gobind Singh Ji had expert aim with both his swords and his arrows. He could shoot another arrow out of the air with the accuracy of his bow and arrow. With his sword, he could slice another one out of the air. He was a great scholar who could read, write, and understand 7 languages. This rendered him a great communicator with foreign people. When spoke to people who were not Sikh, like Muslims or Hindus, he could speak in their language, and these people respected him for that. I think Guru Gobind Singh Ji has the qualities of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, with his humility and humanitarianism, Einstein, with his great strategic thinking and problem solving, and Leonidas, the great Greek warrior king of the Greek city-state of Sparta, who fought off the Persian army. To sum it all up, Guru Gobind Singh Ji was a team player, a humble person, a great humanitarian, and perhaps one of the greatest Sant Sipahis who ever lived. Thank you, SikhRI, for organizing this workshop, and thank you, Vaheguru, for letting us all be here today. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I don't know what I can say. I don't know what I can tell you. The whole idea about organizing that workshop was that tell us about what was he like. Because we see awesome pictures of him, the artist illusion or artist mind, but give us his traits. So these are, in the workshop, these are the traits we focused on: communication, team player, trust, leadership. And that's what we're doing. And that's just awesome to see. So this workshop was done by Harliv Kaur, who's actually an elementary school teacher. She's not here today. She's a mother of 3. She lives in San Antonio. She's conducted multiple workshops before, you guys know. Now introduce Rav Kiran Kaur. She was in the older kids workshop, same concept, same ideas, but want to hear from her. What did she get out of the workshop and traits of leadership of Guru Gobind Singh Ji?
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Rav Kiran Kaur. I am a sophomore in high school, and I attended a SikhRI workshop in April discussing the qualities and contributions of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the 10th Guru of Sikhism. I went in the workshop with a question in my mind. How would I describe Guru Gobind Singh Ji? Before the workshop started, I had a very basic understanding of Guru Sahib. He was religious, courageous, and that's about it. However, with the thoroughly organized presentation laid out by Pratpal Uncle, I was able to expand upon what I already knew. He threw some challenging questions at us that required critical thinking, but there was no wrong answer. Plus, the point of these workshops is to have everybody pitch in and give their opinions. The presentation was given in a fashion where Pratpal Uncle wasn't lecturing us for 2 hours straight. Every kid got the chance to participate. It sparked intelligent conversations and made me realize more about Guruji. So how would I describe Guru Gobind Singh Ji now? After the workshop, I knew for a fact courageous and religious weren't the only things I could say about Guruji. He genuinely followed the basic tenets of Sikhism. For example, he wasn't attached to materialistic things, even his family. Guru Gobind Singh Ji fought bravely and with all his effort, even being outnumbered by the Mughals by thousands in the battles of Jamkor, and knowing his family was captured and killed. Guruji accepted Vaheguru's hukam and carried out his mission on the battlefield. Not only did he live as a true Sikh, but he was knowledgeable in the arts. Guruji participated in Kirtan and played Dilruba, Sarangi, and Taus. Along with singing Kirtan, his poems are in Guru Granth Sahib Ji today, our 11th Guru. His teachings in Guru Granth Sahib Ji were in Gurmukhi, but Guru Gobind Singh Ji was an advanced linguist and could read, write, speak, and understand 7 languages. After the Battle of Chamkor, Guru Gobind Singh Ji wrote the Zafarnama, a letter of his victory sent to his competitor Aurangzeb in Persian. Guru Gobind Singh Ji was successful in these positions because his personality fit well. This concept is similar to a puzzle. No one can be a great general without knowing the most effective battle tactics and how to fight and be a great leader. The puzzle is incomplete without each of these pieces. Just like all of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's skills, he had all the puzzle pieces, which led him to pure success in these fields. Guru Gobind Singh Ji had amazing personality traits. He was humble, visionary, forgave people for their mistakes, a source of inspiration, and helped anyone he could. The workshop ended with a universal question: how can we integrate these traits in our lives today? We are Sikhs, disciples of the Guru, and students for life, and our goal is to live like the Guru. I can integrate these traits in my life by changing simple daily things. Instead of bragging about a good grade I got on the hardest math test of the year and making other students feel bad, I could be a helpful mentor to them and bring up their grade. Instead of taking constructive criticism harshly, I could hear them out and improve myself. Instead of holding a grudge against a friend and constantly arguing, I could accept their apology and move on. Instead of walking past a kid at school who's crying, I could be the light in their day and help them out. Actions like these will make me a better Sikh, and you can do it too. Thanks to SikhRI, I know exponentially more about Guru Gobind Singh Ji and can make myself a better Sikh. I definitely recommend and look forward to attending the workshops and camps organized by SikhRI in the future. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thanks, Rutgren, for those really insightful thoughts. The whole idea is not just to memorize a bunch of facts and figures and what battles he fought and how many languages knew. That's important. But the whole idea of workshop was, you know what? He was a great communicator. He spoke the vernacular. So if you want to talk with your nanny who doesn't know English, Punjabi se chalo thodi. You know, if you want to learn how to do robotics, you're going to have to learn programming, right? That's what it is. And you guys know the IT sector, you know, SAP and all that languages. If you don't have that vehicle, the idea is to integrate those into your own life. Whether you're in school, whether you're in work, whichever relationship, even in the relationships, we discussed that. His beautiful relationship with his sons. You know, he was not afraid to send his sons to death for upliftment of principles of justice. We talked about that as well. So the message to me as a facilitator, maybe I need to learn something from that. And Ravkiran, thank you for sharing that. Because the idea is how do you integrate that in your life, and you give beautiful examples of that. Thank you. Now I want to ask our 4 Siddhikars to come, all 4 of them, and just take turns and talk about what are these people talking about Siddha? What is Siddha? You know, it's, you know, why you have to go away for 2 weeks, and what do you do there? And why is this a life-changing thing? People talk about life-changing. What is the big deal? What's the big deal? So 4 Siddhikars who went this year from Dallas are Manmeet Kaur. All 4 of you come on up. Manmeet Kaur, Deepinder Singh, Vikram Singh, and Vijit Singh. Just come on up and just take turns. And I can tell you these things, it's a 2-week program, kind of like graduate school program. compressed, about Sikh heritage and this and that, but that's all for the books. The idea is give it to them what you got out of it, and why would you recommend that for others to go? I see how the guys are like ladies first.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Manmeet Kaur. I am a junior at UTA Arlington. I am studying biology, working on my bachelor's right now. Hopefully get it done by next year. Before I tell you my experience at SikhRI for 2 weeks that I've been through, I would like to tell you how I got there. So Prithpal uncle, he actually approached my dad last year, and we were in India, so I couldn't go. So this year, we were eating langar on a Sunday, and he was passing out langar. And he goes, "Main te na gal karni hai, like come outside when you're done with your food." Said okay. And I go outside, and he's in the kitchen talking to my papa, and I go up to him, I said, "You wanted to talk to me?" He goes, "Yeah, Baraja." And there were people talking, and he looks around, he goes, 30 seconds later, he goes, "Baraja." And I was like, okay, what is so serious? Like, I got scared. I was like, what did I do? And then he goes, "Tu jana miya ki tu lari lai jani hai?" And I was like, what are you talking about? And so and I had classes going on then. I was taking summer classes, and luckily they happened to get canceled. Right, maybe a week before, I think. And I called him and I said, "Hey, I want to go to SikhRI. What do I do?" So that was my little journey behind getting to SikhRI for the first time. So I'll tell you a little bit about my experience today at SikhRI. So I personally experienced many firsts at SikhRI. So first time to make big, first time to do ardas in divan, and first time to do jor sab sitting on tabbiyan, which was amazing experience. And first time to put thought into Guru's hukam of the day and being able to apply that throughout my day and reflect upon it at the end of the day. And the atmosphere and environment at SikhRI is budding. There's no judgment. Everyone is so collectively on their own journey in Sikhi, yet we're all in it all together, helping each other develop and grow. You will get to meet the most amazing down-to-earth souls and leaders in our Sikh communities that really put things into perspective for us. And many of them are sitting amongst us today. I took part in Sikhi one-on-one track, where we went into depth of Asakivar, learned about each chakka, focusing on the correct pronunciations, and most importantly, the message behind Asakivar. We also had class discussions where Sikhs came together to discuss on topics such as Sikh theology, Miri Piri, and Sarbat Khalsa, and many more. Learning environment was not just based on lectures, it was very interactive and engaging. I was able to take little something out of every session, which gave me a better understanding of each topic we've been through. We did activities amongst our classmates that gave us the opportunity to know our fellow Sikhs from a deeper point of view. And being able to hear others' journey, I sincerely respect them, their decisions, and their perseverance to stick to their path. I realize that appearance can change time to time. What matters is the most how you are from the inside, how you incorporate Guru-oriented lifestyle. The Sangat you are surrounded by is filled with knowledge and supportive in every step of the way. I was able to connect with Sangat and the instructors that helped me build a strong relationship with Sikhi. And lastly, I'm very thankful and incredibly happy I chose SikhRI to be part of my journey in becoming a better Sikh, having a better understanding of Barni and the message, the purpose that has passed on from the Gurus, and living it. And lastly, I see some youngsters here, young adults. If you can go, please go. It's a great experience. You will love it. And most importantly, if you love food, they have different types of food, and uncles know what I'm talking about. Everything is there for you, so I highly recommend you go there and just check it out. You will love it. It's lots of fun. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa and Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Stand here. I want to make a couple of comments about, I am so happy and the parents भी बैठे हुए हैं. I'm so happy. I hope you're proud of your girl, because how confidently she's speaking. My relationship with her was like this, limited to this big, which was basically saying Sat Sri Akal at Gurdwara, until I saw her open up in these, like first day you're like this, second day you're like this, third day you're like this, and by fourth day she's like, Uncle, what's up? And I'm like, Bali Kolia. But it was great, because that's honesty, and that's what we need. If you're not honest, if you're not honest in learning, you'll never give up yourself an opportunity to grow. And I loved it. It was awesome. So thanks for sharing that.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Vijit Singh. I go to UT Arlington also. I do study computer science. So my Sikh story actually started from when I was born. So I was part of a Sikh family. My parents were always very religious, always going to Gurdwara. But I used to go to Sunday school also throughout the course of my whole Sikh journey. But a lot of what they taught us was more just like memorization knowledge, or again, like how Uncle was talking about earlier, I was just like the same things over and over. They're going through the first, like this part of Japji Sahib every single week for like 3 months straight. For what reason, I don't know. But it was just pounded in our head just to memorize it or whatever it was. So going to Siddhik for the first time really opened my eyes up to opening up and really looking at Gurbani for more than what it really is on the surface level. So really before that, my whole thing was just memorize Gurbani, right as you're done memorizing it, go get a bhaja and start learning how to play harmonium to it. That was kind of like the thought process. It was less of a, let's actually sit here and think about what the message is here. And Siddhik really opened my eyes to how, like, even the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, every single piece of Gurbani you come across really is not just on the surface level, but way, way deeper, and even in context historically, and everything to do with it is way more important about it. So that really opened up my eyes a lot. And just like, that told me, like, I need to start getting this connection with my Guru that I do not have. So I was like starting to read Hukamnama more and trying to start to realize what it is that the Guru is trying to tell me. So that was my big takeaway from Siddhik, which is that I need to have a better relationship with my Guru. And yes, it was very life-changing, because it went from really a darkness to a lightness, where I'm not just going through motions anymore of Sikhi, where I'm just going to Gurdwara and doing whatever it is that I'm doing, but I'm going there and I'm thinking about why is it that my Guru wants me to do this, and what am I doing? What is the purpose here for my life? How is this impacting my relationship with my Guru? And how am I growing as a person? That's it. Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
What I really, because he was in my classes, and actually 3 of the 4 were in my track. I was really, his first couple of days, I thought he was sleeping in my class. But then I realized, he wasn't sleeping, he was reflecting. He was actually thinking. Some of you know Vijay, he doesn't speak much, but when he does, it's very thoughtful. And it was just, you always are very academic and scholarly, but the thought process that you put into it, it was great. And I hope you understood his point. His point was, it became meaningful because he understood what he started to develop a relationship with the Guru, and that is the key. If Guru is not in your life, if that guide is not there, then if the anchor is not there, then you know where you stand. So thank you, Vijay, for saying that.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Deepinder Singh. I'm 30. I went to UT Dallas. Thank you. So born in India, but brought up here. So majority of y'all know me. Not like this though, especially from last year. I only had a beard, no dastar, no nothing. So a lot of you probably are wondering what happened, to be honest. So why did I go? First of all, why did I go to Siddhik? So I should say last year, honestly. Sorry, I might get emotional, so I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's the first thing. I'm being more honest. Was that there was a void in me. I got a job, have a car, got a family, got a house. It was great. Life was great. It was on cruise control. But something inside hit me pretty bad. Started to know there was a big, big void. It was very empty. And those things couldn't fill me up. And I even talked to my parents, honestly. I was like, something's not right. You know, I'm fortunate that Gurdwara Sahib was there. My parents do follow the Guru, and you know, my mom told me, let's go to Gurdwara, talk to your Guru. It was funny when she said that, because at that time I only thought it was a book. And to be honest with you again, you know, I didn't have that relationship with the Guru Granth Sahib. So I pretty much let it out. I talked to the Guru, and we'll see what goes on from there. And my mom did tell me that he always answers. If you go with a true heart, he always answers. So, and he did. And I'm ever so grateful for that. So the funny thing was a 1984 play, Baji. I don't know if it's a coincidence, or you can call it synchronicity, whatever you want to call it. He came up to me and he's like, I see you somewhere. I'm like, yeah, this is me, we met. And then he was just kind of shocked, and he looked at my dad and he was like, who's this? I'm like, that's my dad. That's pretty funny. But then fortunately, you know, we started talking, and I told him my story, what was going on, that I was empty. I did a lot of bad things, and I started to become aware of those bad things. Before, you know, I was in the dark thinking those things were good. For example, I'll be honest with you again, I was an alcoholic. I never thought I was an alcoholic, but I was an alcoholic. You know, those things, you start to realize that, you know, those things have a major impact, and you start to realize that Guru Sahib says you should stay away from that. So more and more I start to realize that is the truth. And so more so I started talking with him, and he introduced to me this program that, you know, he sensed that I was thirsty, that I was empty. So what I learned from Siddiq mostly, first and foremost, being real. So I think the veil, like when I read Gurbani, especially read Japji Sahib every day, there's a portion of it, I'm not gonna say it, but he talks about the veil, the illusion. To me, that means the mask. And I, for the longest time, had this mask on, trying to people please, giving my power away, and basically keeping myself just constricted. I couldn't be myself. And so that was one of the things that, and each one of them said it, that it was a sangat. You can be open. I mean, yeah, first couple of days, you know, you're very reserved. But no, I mean, couple, you know, 2-3 days later, you know, you start to interact more, you can be yourself. And I think that's what's missing, especially when you're out in the real world. You can't be yourself. But I think we should be real with everybody. You don't have to put a mask on. And then that's the emotional side, because the mask is funny, because when I was going to my downtime, people are like, why are you like this? You're depressed. I'm like, it's not depressed, it's something else. They're like, you need to man up and this and that. I'm like, no, something inside me, it's not allowing me to do that. Because I think, obviously and clearly, we need more love, especially this day and age. We see all about it. We need more love, we need more emotion, we need to understand each other better. And that's one of the key things I think Siddiq taught me, was one of that. Another thing, I guess kind of a byproduct, is my power. Before, I thought I had power, but that was all here. It's all mental. But no, that's not real power. The power is right here. The source itself. I'm learning how to say no. Before, as I was a people pleaser, no, I know now how to set boundaries. I can say no. Whatever my spirit or soul, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes it happy. And then finally, I think another byproduct of it is knowledge. I was fortunate to take 201. I was planning on taking 101, but I don't know, just grateful to take 201. And I was fortunate enough to have a facilitator, Jajad, and the walking encyclopedia. So yeah, it is very intimidating. But going back to UTD, I was kind of reflecting, is that the best classes were the ones that you could talk, not one-way communication where it's like, here guys, here's 1 plus 1, here's 2. No, you can actually talk about it and ask why. You know, like Guru Sahib did this, okay, why? You know, in this day and age, you know, when we do ask, why did they do that? Nay, Dani. It's the way it is. No, it's not. We want to learn more. You know, we're thirsty. That's just who we are. We're supposed to be different. But that's key, I think, knowledge in general. I learned from Siddiq about my Guru. I learned about the history, how to combine all that and bring it to my life. But not only that, I think you can use it. I use it at work a lot now. You know, I do question things now, because sometimes there's like, it doesn't make sense. You know, it's make a more conscious decision so you don't regret it later. But I'm ever so grateful, and I highly encourage all of you, I mean, young, I'm not going to say old, but adults, you should definitely try it. If there's something inside of you that is thirsty or even hungry for something, most importantly, what our Guru tells us is to grow, never get on cruise control. You know, life is so short, you should grow. So I highly encourage you, whether it's a small workshop, whether it's Siddiq, do something. It only takes an hour of your day, you know? I mean, it's a habit, you brush your teeth, you know, it's just unconscious. But you got to make that effort, you got to do that. So, thank you for your time, guys. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
So he spoke, and he's a sort of quiet guy, but I was really impressed he's speaking this much. I think it just shows how much it moved you. And you know, I'm going to say something on a lighter side. When I saw him, he looks familiar to me because his whole, you know, identity has changed. So I just sort of grabbed him, and I was just being honest. Like, I think I've seen you. He's like, yeah. You know, but so we exchanged information, and he's like, I look different. And he revealed to me, and he shared his sort of, you know, his experiences. And so as we got to know him, I asked him one thing. I got, Diya, tell me one thing. I go to all the gurdwaras in Dallas, and there's a joke about that. The joke is, you know, people said, Dr. Saab, to, you know, sokna urke urde ho to parchiyan kar diyan, aaj kade gurdware jana hai. But, you know, they all invite me, and I'm on good terms with all of them. And I said, and this guy goes to Garland. So I said, whenever I come to Garland, maybe, you know, I come to give a speech every other month. So, you know, when I was giving those speeches, would you not, you know, connect with me? He goes, honestly, before he even got to the mic, I got up the hell out and walked out, you know. And I'm like, yaar, main inna mara hai. He's like, no, Padi, it's not you, because I was not in that right frame of mind. I was not willing. I didn't want to give anything a chance. I was not ready. And he laid out. And his parents are here. I mean, you must be so proud of him. I mean, and the great thing about him is we meet for lunch from time to time, and he's like a sponge. He's like this, Manu Dasso, how can I learn?
I had my Judat cut off, and I lived without going to Gurdwara for many months in a row. But then when we moved to Texas, I attended a Gurmukh camp, and actually I met Dr. Prithpal there, and he was teaching there for the first year, and I became interested in Sikhi, and I wanted to learn more about my religion. So after my junior year in high school, I was suggested by Dr. Prithpal to attend a 2-week program in Vancouver called SikhRI. I took the Sikhi 101 course, and it was my first time taking a course as interesting as Sikhi 101. In the class over in Vancouver, we would learn about history, we would explore Asakivar and the importance of reading Gurmukhi, and now have so much more knowledge. For the whole shab by myself, which I had no idea I could do that, but now I do know that I can do that, and I know I can learn so much more, and I just think it's a great program. Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
So, those of you who know Vikram, he's not a talker. You know, he's an introverted type of guy, but I really encourage you to talk to him afterward. He's a senior in high school. He had done his homework because we usually accept people who are done with high school. But he had done his homework, and he's like, I really want to go. So we make exceptions. And I'll facial hair, they have a policy. He's wearing a star now. He usually doesn't wear the star. And I'm like, well, I'm sure they'll make an exception if it's on a religious basis. That was his way. He was basically the start of a beautiful conversation of him wanting to take that step. He wants to get there. He's spilling his heart out. I meet his parents, who are also here today, and a beautiful, emotional conversation, which I can't get into. And we got a plan together. We worked on a plan, and at the end, I goofed. I'll share my goof. I said, Vikram, have we met before? And he goes, Uncle, the camp? So we had met. And afterwards you keep in touch. And I think needless to say, whatever you do, wherever you go, whatever you pursue, you're always going to think, what does Guru Nanak think about that? If I were to do something, if I'm coming across a business proposition, who to marry, who to hang out and with, what my discipline, physical, spiritual discipline, I bet all of you are going to think, what does Shabad Guru say about that? And that's really the idea. So thank you so much. And to all of you, this is your future. And believe me, this is a bright future. This is a very bright future. You have to invest in period. It's the best 2 weeks you can take out. And thank you so much for doing that. I think he wants to take a picture of all of you. So right here, stand here. Thank you, guys. I encourage you. I encourage you to talk to them individually, especially those young adults in the room. Those of you who are going to graduate high school in a year or 2 or 3, you got to get a course opinion. You got to get a woman's opinion. Guys, even you got to get a woman's opinion. Why should I go to Civic? Ask the tough questions. What I learned in my life is you got to ask the tougher questions. You got to ask the questions that are not popular. You got to ask, tell me why I should not go. How will my life be different? Where would you be without it? Ask the tough questions, because this is where I want you to be. And ideally, if you keep coming back, then I'm not planning on being a facilitator forever. That's it. I need to have an exit strategy also. Jajar is there now, but he's 201. I need somebody for 101. All right. I think we're towards the home stretch here. I do want to thank Harman Kaur and Sandeep, which most of us know him as Rajan Singh. This is really because of them. They have sponsored this event. They're taking care of all the expenses. So everything that you donate tonight, it go to coming up with programming like Siddhak. We make Siddhak actually, we give financial aid to Siddhak. We give scholarship to kids who are not able, or their parents not able to afford it. The online course, Harpal Singh and Jaskiran Panji are sitting in the audience. They funded the entire online course last year at this fundraiser, and you saw the benefit. Everybody is getting the benefit of that online children's school called Barama. So the idea is, if you support programming, if you support SikhRI, if you believe in SikhRI's mission, which is really to make Shabad Guru accessible to anybody, fund it. We hope to raise $40,000. I know they already have given 4. They're sponsoring. Really, really thank you. So one round of applause for Harman Kaur and Sandeep. They have told me you can mention our names as long as you don't ask us to speak, so I won't ask them to speak. We have a few minutes if somebody wants to ask any questions, any Q&A about any programming of SikhRI. We have Jajar Singh, Jasivir Ji, Adi Sidikars. Any questions? Any comments? Otherwise, I know some of you, they're waiting for my signal to start the dinner as well. Any questions or comments, or would you like us to talk to people individually afterwards? Yes?
Come and make a quick comment.
Yeah, quick comment. Quick comment and then a question. Usually we have a second mic. I think they need to turn on that mic, so they tell them to turn on that mic so people can just ask the question from that mic. For the time being, you can use this.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. This is totally extempore. I've been thinking about this last year when I came to the meeting, and I was like, maybe I should tell you some of my personal experience. when somebody asked, do you know Harinder Singh, I raised my hand. And then the same person asked, Jujar asked again, are you intimidated by him? I did not raise my hand. Why? Because I've known these guys since they were in high school, coming from Kansas City. And that a comment I made to my wife, she's not here, she's in Taiwan on a business trip. And I told her, because of these guys, the future of SikhRI is safe. I am seeing that again today. Because of these guys, the future of SikhRI is safe. Please support them all you can. Thank you very much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Uncle. I think people are just too kind with words. I think if you really want to honor any individual, the beauty is, if you look to the people who came before us, Banda Singh Bahadur, he never struck a coin in his name. He struck the coin in Guru's name. Even Ranjit Singh didn't strike a coin in his name. When they donated something, they didn't donate it on their last name, where they were from, or even their mother's name. They contributed in the name of the one who inspires them, and that's Guru. So that is our inspiration, and our hope is Guru will be your inspiration. Because I can make an impact